And we're back with an all-new episode of Keep It. Mi nombre, Ira Madison III.
Oh, God. And I'm Louis Fertel, English. Ira's in Mexico City right now, which is so the movie Spectre of him.
I am running around for 5 hours.
Right. And just casting Christoph Waltz as a villain just because. He probably had 15 minutes to spare. And we said, he's got to growl at somebody. May as well put him in this movie.
Yeah, I'm in Mexico City. It's giving queer, and...
Oh, the film, which, by the way, is one of those things like Carly Rae Jepsen's Emotions, where is it just me and my friends who saw that movie? Like, does anybody else know what happened in that?
I actually believe that they haven't, because every time I make that reference, people are like, oh, I still need to see that.
And at this point, what is going to bring you to see that? Also, a movie you definitely have to see in a theater. It would not hold up at home. There's too much static space. It's too arty to not watch in the theater.
Yeah, just listen to Prince at home and do some cocaine.
Precisely.
And you'll get the gist.
Wait, was there Prince music in that movie?
Remember, they do the lines of coke and then musicology plays?
Yeah. Oh my God, the weirdest song to play. It's a movie that takes place in the 50s. They play like "Come as You Are" in that movie too. They were wilding, as we used to say.
I don't think I've ever heard you say wilding.
As they used to, whoever they are, they used to say it.
They like us?
Yeah, sure, yes.
But I also made a brief trip from Mexico City to Austin this past weekend for South by Southwest.
Oh, where they still are eating dinner at picnic tables. That's their whole thing in Austin.
Yeah, breakfast tacos at picnic tables. And if you recall, our very first live episode of Keep It was at South by Southwest in 2018.
Yes, I remember I ate Torchies every day I was there. I was the most touristy tourist who ever visited Austin, yes.
And Austin was pretty lovely this time around. And I was on a panel for Spotify House where podcasts drive the conversation.
Oh, thank God. I was just thinking we have to give more power to podcasters. They know everything. They all have PhDs.
To be fair, it seems sort of the antithesis of Rihanna's Shut Up and Drive. Like, podcast driving the conversation is a lot of yapping in that car.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Shutting up is exactly what's not happening. Right.
I was on the panel with Sarah Foster, host of the world's first podcast. Her sister, Erin Foster, created Nobody Wants This.
Oh, a lovely show that I've seen all of, actually.
Yeah, and Chris Williams.
Jackie Tone. I want to say shout out to Jackie Tone, who beat Neil deGrasse Tyson on Celebrity Jeopardy. That is so funny.
He's annoying.
No, he's like if an astrophysicist were an act on the Gong Show is what he is. Okay.
Remember when he used to just scold us online all the time about science things?
Right, and then he would get roasted right back. It was very mutual.
And Chris Williamson, a host of Modern Wisdom, a straight British man. It's nice to look at.
And so, was there a winner in this conversation? Did we solve anything?
Yeah, it was me.
Oh, and how did you take the reins?
There were a lot of Keep It fans there, to be honest. So they were very loud and vocal. Who else is going to go to a Saturday afternoon panel at noon in Austin to listen to three podcasters talk? But Keep It fans.
Well, then thank you so much, Keep It fans.
Yeah.
I get that if they're turning out in Boston, they're going to turn out in Austin. Wow. I'm a rapper.
Okay. Nicki Minaj over here.
My Keep It today is actually rap oriented. You'll be excited to hear.
Is it?
Yeah, get ready.
Okay. Let me tell you something else about South by Southwest. I was watching most of the coverage on my phone because I feel like being at the Spotify House was a way to keep me segregated from the celebrities of South by Southwest because I ran into none of them.
And okay, so you watched it from afar, sure.
Yeah, and I did see Jeremy O'Harris briefly, but she's everywhere. And I did see online, though, the red carpet for Another Simple Favor. Honestly, if you come up to me and you're like, I just have another simple favor, it tells me that the first favor wasn't that simple at all. And this one isn't going to be either.
Right. I see right through you. Yes.
Stop asking me for favors. My favorite thing about the red carpet was obviously reporters were doing there. So what's going on, girl? about the whole Blake Lively situation.
Right.
And Anna Kendrick was like, I gotta go.
To be honest, Anna Kendrick is an underrated, funny person.
Yeah.
I feel like people kind of underestimated her in this situation, but she's always like kind of been on Twitter, like pipes in just enough. She's never there to like dominate a conversation, likes a funny comment and then heads out on her way. And she handled that carpet really funny. I mean, like she's put in this bizarre predicament where she has to respond to a situation that has nothing to do with her. She just happens to co-star in this movie with Blake Lively. And I think she handled it with aplomb. She's a funny actress. And of course, that movie she directed was good too.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this a bit the other week with the Blake Lively stuff and that insane Hollywood Reporter cover.
Right. Pure AI, correct? Yes.
Yes. And I talked about how Candace Owens, of all people, was leading the charge on discussing the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni situation, literally breathlessly every week for her followers. And I think like Taylor Lorenz wrote a piece recently about how conservatives are sort of controlling the conversation on this, and they're getting like so many fucking views by talking about it. But what's so interesting is that I think there's this space where if you're like a conservative talker like that, right, you can say, I hate Blake Lively and this is toxic feminism, etc. And people will get mad at you, but they'll still be going to listen to you, right? You know, if we were to say anything controversial about the topic, I feel like our listeners would be like, okay, well, I'm done listening to you. You know, I don't think it's easy for...
What you're talking about is people who listen to podcasts like ours are smarter. That's what you're saying.
They are. Well, it's easier to sort of... It's harder to piss off your audience, I guess, if you are left-leaning.
Right. Or no, it's easier to piss off your audience.
Well, it's easier to piss off your audience if you're left-leaning.
Right. Well, I feel like the whole modus operandi of being a conservative nowadays is like everybody else is trying to piss us off and you can't make me get upset. You can't make me get upset is like the whole motto, you know?
And then it's novel that they're talking about pop culture things, so people flock to them. Because let me tell you something. Tommy Vietor and I were texting recently about Ben Shapiro. And do you know Ben Shapiro has this like 30-minute YouTube review of Wicked?
No.
And he actually has thoughts about musical things. Like he has another one on Les Mis. And people in the comments are constantly like, you should really just switch the culture. He's so heated about it.
I mean, I have nothing to say about the fact that he would have a pop culture opinion. What is the Wicked take?
He loves the movie.
Baffling. What about this timeline we're living in? Can we cancel it? Can I get out of it?
He has another TikTok that it was how the conversation started with Tommy about where he wrote one about how Lin-Manuel cannot write a melody, apparently.
Well, that's weird. I feel like that's the one thing he really can write. Girl, he should have an Oscar for that Moana song. There's no doubt about that. City of Stars, is that a better song than the Moana song? Think twice.
But anyway, I had no idea that Ben Shapiro was a theater
Right. Or I mean, you know what? He kind of has the hair and hairline of somebody who releases reviews of musical theater things all day. So I kind of can see it that way. But then you listen to him speak and it just doesn't seem like it fits in. But
you just didn't know theater was the adjective that went before.
Right. Right. It could have been so many things. Now, speaking of real queens, can we talk about Miss Dylan Efron? Because the Traitors finale was last week. And now, as you know, I was rooting for Danielle. And this is not just because I'm a Big Brother stan. But she unfortunately committed the cardinal sin of when she was eliminated at the beginning of the episode, throwing poor Brittany, who became a traitor the other day, under the bus and said, oh, you betrayed me again, which what could that mean? But we're both traitors together and you're voting me out to save yourself. It was nice to see Brittany like work her ass off afterwards to try to win the show. But from that moment, you knew her game was cooked and then the other guys were going to win. And then, of course, the reason Traitors is a horrible game, Dolores fucking makes it to the end. I am still not positive she knows what Traitors is or knows she was on it.
Dolores from Patterson, don't come for
Yes.
my girl. No, I agree, actually. Also, what the fuck was Ivar doing there?
Another person where it's just no skill brought him to the end, and I still have no sense of his personality whatsoever.
None. And my main thing about Danielle is sort of what annoyed me about Dan when he was on the show last season with Phaedra. It's the Big Brother players, when they leave, they get nasty. And they're sort of like, I'm
Right.
going to torpedo your chance of winning.
It was much like the Dan thing. Yes. I don't know that I expected it from her, but afterwards when Brittany said, we've actually known each other only 3 hours or something and you think we're best friends, then I became a little bit afraid of Danielle. Like, she really was under the impression they were best friends.
Well, what I really think was Brittany's downfall was, obviously Danielle was like, you betrayed me again, right? But I don't think, and maybe we just didn't see it in the show, but she didn't really hit home the fact that I sent Danielle home and was the reason that she lost fucking reindeer games in Big Brother, right? So
Yeah.
you could have spun the betrayed her again as, I'm the deciding vote to send her home again, and she's pissed off because our whole thing was, I want to earn your trust. And she could have been like, that's how she was manipulating me.
Right. I saw an interview with Brittany afterwards where she said something that made so much sense to me, and something they would never get into on the show because it breaks the fourth wall in a way. But she said, when you're on this show, you're thinking the entire time, what makes the best TV show? Who's being cast as traitors, as in who's going to be the most watchable in that regard? And you realize, of course, they're thinking that way because there are no clues. This is a show that gives these people no reason to suspect anybody, because all they do, the only job of being a traitor is telling people you're not a traitor. That's all you do on the show. I still am begging for a couple new roadblocks or interesting twists to be put into play that make the work of the traitors more interesting and complicated.
Mm-hmm. A roadblock is a task that one partner must complete.
I haven't watched that show in years. Oh my God, the year when Colin and Christy were the Christian villains. Oh, so good. There really are great seasons of Amazing Race.
I've been having such a fun time on the floor. And by the way, people need to watch this week.
Are you going to be a featured something? Maybe. I actually watched the last episode last night, episode 5. Oh my God, excuse me. There was a battle between two people going up about movie directors. and they treated it like this is going to be the battle of the century. This man who challenged this other person on movie directors did not know a single person, could not identify Steven Spielberg or Martin Scorsese. I, as you know, before this was not a gun owner, and I shot the television screen.
But I've been having so much fun. I was like, maybe we should do Amazing Race.
You and me?
Yeah.
Can I tell you something? I think that is literally the worst competition show for me on the planet. I have no sense of spatial direction. Literally, when I leave the Crooked Studios head every day, like Tommy has to push me towards the door. I have no idea where it is.
Plus, I feel like the majority of Amazing Race challenges too are, here you are having to do basket weaving in the water.
Right.
You're always doing some weird task in another country, and if you pick the wrong person to do that, it's just like, oh, you would just happen to be better at this skill than me, but I didn't pick you to do it. You're sitting there for like 3 hours while everyone else is getting past you.
Right. I mean, the one thing advantage I would have is they always have some older people on that show, and I would certainly outrun them with my, really coyote-like body. But
honestly, it would be like Barry's Boot Camp IRL, Louis.
Oh my, which is, as you know, my dream. Whenever I'm in the red room, I think, how can I take this out into the real world? Can someone named Nolan be screaming at me on the streets too?
One last thing I want to say about Traitors before we get into our episode is what I really do enjoy about the show is that this is the new reality show where you can become, I guess, actually famous from it. Like there was the Real World, and then there was Real Housewives, etc. But I feel like as these genres go on, it's sort of harder to get out of the reality ghetto, so to speak. Like you sort of like Selling Sunset was huge. Like Chrishell was one of the most well-known people going into this season, I believe. Even if you didn't watch Selling Sunset, you sort of knew who Chrishell was, right?
Right.
And Traitors is still a show that I feel like can propel people to that because Dylan Efron and Gabby Weddy have become like the breakout stars.
Yeah. Also, I mean, if you watch Gabby's Instagram, I mean, the girl is very, very funny.
She's so
and she does
funny.
have that kind of Jennifer Coolidge rasp, but honestly, it's like straight up stand up. It's to me, it's good enough to be a stand up act. I called Dylan Efron a queen earlier. He really isn't. He's like a nice straight guy. It was nice to see a nice straight guy who seemed a little bit gullible at first, sort of piece it together as the show went on. He's a deserving winner.
He was, and he was the opposite of Pilot Pete, who annoyed the fuck out of me last season because he was so condescending. And I feel like the Pilot Pete only jumped out a little bit when he was defending himself against Britney, because he was sort of doing that Big Brother or Survivor thing that I hate, when you decided, like, he decided Britney was a traitor and he was going to bring this up at the round table and vote for her, right? Mm-hmm. But you notice on, like, when Survivor, Big Brother, when someone's like, we're voting you out, and then when that person tries to rally people to actually vote that person out, they're always aghast that anyone else is playing the game against them.
Oh, right. Yeah.
He was like, why are you saying all this stuff about me? It's like, bitch, you said you were going to vote for her. Like, is she supposed to just sit there and be like, great, my game's over?
Though, by the way, could this show up the prize money? Because 4 people are splitting, what was it? Like the prize pot ended up being about $200,000. Like, for that entire season, the winners all got $50,000. I mean, I'm just saying, like, the runners up on Pop Culture Jeopardy got more than that.
Here's 2 things that I want to change about the Traitors. 1, get rid of the money being involved in the competitions, because I do not give a fuck. Just have it be an overall prize pot at the end. And my second thing that I would change about Traitors is, I think the first season of US Traitors was sort of rough because you had Sari sort of mind gaming all these yokels.
Yeah, the civilians, right.
And they were confused with, I was right the first time. And they were also confused just being mixed in with celebrities, right? I think that there's too much of a wait time between US Traitors, to be honest. And so we should have, just like Survivor, we should have 2 editions of the Traitors each year, but one should be the celebrity version. It's in the spring. And then I think we need to bring back an actual civilian version of the Traitors, because the Traitors UK is so fucking good when you really cast good people who aren't, seasoned reality show people. Like, they will deliver a good season.
Oh, no, we were talking about season 2 of UK with Andrew Garfield when he was here. Mm-hmm. That is still the best season of the show. Again, yeah, casting people who want to be there. And I want to reiterate, understand the rules of the show and that they are on a show makes the show better.
Because half of these celebrities are we're just cast on this because it's a thing to do, right? Their agent told them to do it. And it's, how about we get people who've now watched 3 seasons of the Traitors, they've watched international seasons, they're sort of figuring out how to game the show, how to play it. I want to see those people get on and become stars.
No, and of course, not to bring up even the Australian seasons, where season 1 delivered at least 4 people who are fabulous. So,
yeah. So anyway, get regular people on Traitors again.
This show is... we have a lot going on in the show, actually, and we covered some of it, but we need to get going. I guess somebody dropped an album, finally, called Mayhem, the glorious Lady Gaga, who is also the host and musical guest. Oh, the paws are up. Oh, God.
They're all the way up.
The authorities will be asking you to put those down, sir. Okay.
And you came here starting a fight today. I see your Madonna shirt.
Oh, right. They're kind of like friends now, aren't they? There's like rumors they're working together because Lady Gaga, like, retweeted something about bedtime stories, which Madonna's reissuing. So something might be up there. We'll see.
And I'm wearing my Chromatica shirt, one of the many that I own. I would gag, by the way, for Gaga and Madonna teaming up for a bedtime stories remix, because one of my favorite Gaga songs that sounds like a spiritual successor to the bedtime stories or like erotica era is Sex Dreams.
Oh, sure. But also it's if they literally did a remix of the song Bedtime Story, that to me feels like a Gaga fit. And of course the original song is written by Bjork. And then elsewhere in the episode, we both saw Mickey 17, the new Bong Joon-ho movie starring Robert Pattinson, who, by the way, only does weird shit now. Like if he's in it, the movie's weird.
Yeah. I love Robert Pattinson. We'll get into this. And I realized, by the way, that Robert Pattinson is our age.
No, I know, because he's been famous for like 17 years or something.
Yeah. Very funny last non sequitur. There was a clip on the Today Show where Emma Straub recommended my book to Al Roker as the people. And she had also just recommended Mickey 7, the book that Mickey 17 is based on. And there's a clip where she says, Ira Madison III, he's a gay, black, millennial, things like that. Robert Pattinson. And
she just got the two of you confused?
I think she was trying to say that he's a millennial like me and we're the exact same age. That's actually how I discovered it. I went to look it up. But now I'm thinking of Robert Pattinson, gay, black, millennial.
I believe it, honestly. If he wants to own that, I don't think anybody's going to object.
Yeah. When we are right back, this episode is going to be mayhem.
Keep It is brought to you by Planned Parenthood Federation of America. No matter what, your sexual and reproductive health decisions, including abortion, belong to you. Planned Parenthood organizations are fighting for common sense policies that protect our right to control our own bodies and futures, and keep personal health care decisions between patients and their doctors, not unqualified lawmakers. Nearly 80% of Americans want that. The attacks on Planned Parenthood, our health care, our basic rights, they just don't stop. But you know what else doesn't stop? Planned Parenthood. The amazing staff and volunteers at Planned Parenthood health centers across the country do whatever they can to provide high-quality, affordable care to 2 million annual patients. No matter what nonsense some people in power try to pull, you can help. Donate to support Planned Parenthood at plannedparenthood.org/protect. That's plannedparenthood.org/protect. This podcast is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online, whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand. Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place, all on your terms. Squarespace is now introducing Design Intelligence, a new feature that combines 2 decades of industry-leading design expertise with cutting-edge AI technology to unlock your strongest creative potential. Design Intelligence empowers anyone to build a beautiful, more personalized website tailored to their unique needs and craft a bespoke digital identity to use across one's entire online presence. Once your audience has found their dream product, Squarespace Payments is the easiest way to manage your payments in one place. Onboarding is fast and simple. Get started in just a few clicks and start receiving payments right away. Plus, give your customers more ways to pay with popular payment methods like Klarna, ACH Direct Debit, Apple Pay, Afterpay, and ClearPay. You can also connect major social and multimedia accounts to your website in a few clicks as icons, direct links, or embedded feeds. Build visitor trust while updating content only where you need it, extending your brand's footprint. Sellers can also sync their product catalog directly with Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Google to reach more customers and reduce the steps for a purchase. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/keepit to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/keepit.
After much anticipation, Lady Gaga's 7th studio album, Mayhem, is finally here. It's being hailed as a return to her pop roots. So Louis and I are going to get into the highlights, misses, if any, and whether LG7 was worth the wait.
Okay, broad review, thumbs up. I am so relieved this album is very engaging. I find her to be very cool on it. Like the lyrics are not, she's not overly self-serious. A lot of it is very, bonkers in the way that the word mayhem would suggest. Mm-hmm. But immediately the first song I listened to is the first thing that wasn't a single that's previously released. We had Disease, and then we had Abracadabra, which are both, memorable, good. Abracadabra I prefer, I think.
Yeah.
And then the third song is Garden of Eden. Baby. It is a stomp song. Immediately we're off and running with this album. I'm trying to think. It almost reminds me of maybe like the Veronicas or something from the 2000s. It's like real, like maybe like even kind of like an Ashley Simpson single or something. It has that feeling of just not thinking too hard, going hard, and pretty funny if you pay attention to the lyrics.
Yeah, I would say that, first of all, I love Garden of Eden. Killa and Blades of Grass are all 3 songs produced by Gesaffelstein, and we'll get into those other songs in a moment. But if I can say one thing about this album is that she seems relaxed If anything,
Yeah.
she seems like she knows exactly who she is. This comes with age as a pop star, right? I think that these sort of comfort that comes with being Lady Gaga, she's done all the Tony Bennett shit. She did Joanne. She did Chromatica, which is so much fun. And I fucking love Chromatica, but it felt almost like an obligation at times because she didn't really want to tour that. But the energy surrounding this album, the energy surrounding her doing a press blitz for it again, dressing in fun outfits again. SNL, which was amazing, like the Loire outfits that she wore during Abracadabra for one. And the press conference she even did with the Little Monsters, right? She's having fun. And I think that you can sense this on the album, that she had a good ass time making it.
And has confidence in the statement of the album, because I think she knows that it's both classically her and that you get that kind of robo monster stomp that you got from the Fame Monster, and Some Have Born This Way, and, the classically fabulous vocals. And yet also, you just talked about some of the songs in this album. There are influences here that she hasn't gone to before. And that, by the way, she is the only pop star that can pull off. The fact that there is this song, Killa, that sounds like both Nine Inch Nails, David Bowie, and George Michael. Who else is bringing those sounds together? And she doesn't sound contrived doing it. You know what I mean? It doesn't sound like some producer stepped in and like threw these influences at her. You can tell this means something to her. Again, this is somebody who once upon a time did a remix of Love Game with Marilyn Manson, literally. And so the fact that she would be bringing in this sound that I believe literally references Fame by David Bowie. But to me, immediately sounded like I'm Afraid of Americans by Nine Inch Nails and David Bowie. I mean, that sounds like nothing else on the radio right now. I love that she has the confidence to put something out that is both very her and also not beholden to any trend. Like she's like one of the few people that can kind of say, I'm doing this weird fucked up thing that has nothing to do with what else you're hearing on the Hot 100 right now. And thank God for it. Like she can fall outside an algorithm and we still go for it.
I think that's what I really enjoy about this album and what I enjoy about Killa, which is just a fucking masterclass in production. Like I said, it's Gesaffelstein, who like never misses with his production for me. And also the performance that she did on SNL, it was giving Bowie. It was giving Preds. It was giving Liza, Tina Turner, when she ripped off her purple suit and then she's wearing, the short red sequin dress. Just everything about her, staring into the camera, grabbing the drumsticks and playing it. She is really that kind of performer that we have been missing, and I think that she's always been that. Obviously, it's hearkening back to the Fame, where I feel like on the Fame, her mission statement was commentary on pop music. She launched her career with that live performance of Paparazzi at the 2009 VMAs, where she's being killed and then she's hung at the end of it. And I think she was commenting on pop music then. It was a commentary on like what the industry had done to people like Britney Spears, etc. But this one feels like, but this is me now. And she's still commenting on the industry. She's, like, for example, Perfect Celebrity is...
Right. I mean, there's no subtext. There it is.
Yes.
There's the words. Yeah.
You love to hate me. I'm your perfect celebrity. I love that she opens it up with a reference to my fave of Chromatica, Plastic Doll, which is sort of the same song. It's a continuation of that. My favorite fucking song on this album, which is also about the industry and what it's like to be a woman in it, is Shadow of a Man, baby.
Love that song too.
The Shadow of a Man is giving MJ Quincy Jones production. That is somewhere between Off the Wall and sort of Bad. It's the beat on it is so funky. It's giving white cookout music.
Is that the song also? There's some song where she's singing it and it reminds me literally of Man in the Mirror. Like
it's that, yes.
Punchy thing. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Shout out to Saida Garrett who co-wrote that song. Yes.
Shadow of, like, I keep going back between Shadow of a Man, Killa, and especially this song, Zombie Boy.
Zombie Boy is fucking fabulous. I mean, again, the only songs I can say I don't like, and I feel like she did this Blade of Grass song because it kind of segues the rest of the album into Die With a Smile, which needed to be included on this album given how huge a hit it is. That said, it just feels a bit like a drippy ballad that doesn't fit with the, the monstrousness of the rest of the album. You know, Mayhem is a vibe, and this song is not Mayhem.
Yeah, I like the Beast a lot, though.
Like it, yes. I saw somebody post a video where they listed all the tracks off Mayhem in a row and used like various clips to illustrate the feeling of these songs. And somebody for that song, The Beast, used a clip from the movie Cool World, like the animated, the blonde chick in that, the blonde animated character in that movie dancing. Who is referencing Cool World? This is that Brad Pitt movie.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's Brad Pitt, right?
Yeah, ripping off Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The internet is a strange place. Be forewarned.
I want to get into the messiness of the commentary surrounding How Bad Do You Want Me, which is a great pop song, but let's just get into the limited vocabulary that people have when it comes to describing music, because how many people jumped immediately to, well, I guess there's a Taylor Swift song on this album, and I want to say, the pop influences that Taylor Swift mined by working with Jack Antonoff on 1989, Reputation, etc., she didn't invent those.
Right. It's good. She has a recognizable sound, whatever. I don't think she is... Right. She didn't come up with this music, you know, at the crossroads by the Delta. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't there in the annals of whatever, the beginnings of popular music.
It's giving almost sort of like the Debbie Gibson of it all. Like it's giving it's giving Belinda Carlisle. It's like these are actual 80s pop influences that she's listening to. I promise you.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this, as somebody who is not a trained musician, and yet a huge fan of pop music, when you're describing how music makes you feel, you almost, like out of obligation, like there's no other way around it. You can only compare it to other music you've heard.
Of course.
So in a way, I'm sympathetic with these people trying to say, oh, it sounds a little bit like a Taylor Swift song. And that's surprising because I cannot think of one other Lady Gaga song that I would ever compare to Taylor Swift. There's not songwriters in the same way.
But
she's
I think smart.
That's noteworthy. It's not that she's ripping off Taylor Swift.
Of course. And she's also smart because that's the one that the white gays are loving.
It also reminds me of Why Did You Do That from the A Star Is Born soundtrack.
She was in her Ally bag on How Bad Do You Want Me.
I think Ally came back for this one. If anything, she was inspired by Ally and not Taylor Swift. Yes. Oscar nominee Ally, basically. Oscar winner Ally.
Yeah, Oscar winner, Grammy winner. Ally did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
One movie, she's halfway to EGOT.
Another song I'm really loving, Vanish Into You, is just giving classic pop ballad to me. It gave me feelings in my chest. Made me tear up a bit. It reminds me a lot of one of my favorite Gaga songs, So Happy I Could Die.
I will say this, though. You've now touched on something with me because that is one of my 5 favorite Lady Gaga songs. I love that song. And what I can say about that is that song, it's not just her pounding you with vocals the entire time. Like, you're kind of lost in the atmosphere of that music. Mm-hmm. If I had a critique or criticism for this album, it's that you're never kind of just like absorbed in the music itself. It's like pure her hitting you with a vocal the entire time. Mm-hmm. You're like pumping a fist and that's that. If there was a moment where you could pull back and just be in the music, I would have appreciated that a little bit more because I feel like this album is a little bit just shoving hooks down your throat.
Yeah.
You know?
It's hook oriented. The vibe was So Happy I Could Die. It's, like in the club with a bottle of red wine. It's in the club with ketamine to me. Is the vibe of that song. She's setting the mood. And there's no time to set the mood on this album. By the time you get to The Beast and then Blade of Grass, it's almost like she's ready to set a mood, but you're exhausted. And I'm like, girl, I can't listen to this right now.
You know what surprised me, though? Watching her host SNL, during the monologue, the person she was while delivering these jokes, I wouldn't describe her as nervous or maybe jittery, but like it wasn't a Gaga I was familiar with. And I feel like it was this combination of excitement about this music and also not sure how well she relates to people anymore. Like she was telling jokes about Joker 2 flopping and she's like, and I heard everybody thought it was awesome. And while that was pretty funny, it was also like, I don't know that I even need her to comment on this. Like, she's so much better than having to comment on like one failure in her career. It was interesting to see her be just not fully, I guess the word is confident. I don't know. Like she would get laugh lines and then the rhythm of her getting the laugh was kind of off too. I don't know if that means she was under rehearsed or what.
Yeah, I feel like the one missing piece in the Gaga puzzle for her is acting still. You know, I feel like that's still where she feels like she hasn't done enough and hasn't really mastered the form. And she wants to.
And she brought up acting during the monologue specifically. Like she says, I'm here to prove what a great actor I am. And again, she's a Best Actress nominated actor. So it's not, I don't think anybody's denying that she's talented in that regard. But you're right. It's like, I think pop she has totally mastered, knows she can kind of do what she wants and remain in her bag. Whereas acting, it's more hit or miss for her. It's more unpredictable for her.
I appreciate that about Gaga, though, that she wants to keep striving to get better at it. You know, I think that she could have very easily gone the Beyonce route of, that's enough of that.
Right. But still playing Nala once every 7 years or whatever. You got 3 lines for me? Sure, I'll say them.
To me, my lions.
I was just reflecting on Beyonce cinema recently. I was watching Cadillac Records, where, of course, she plays Etta James. And you know what? Actually, it's sort of like a worthy send-up to Etta James, I think. But I had
Etta
forgotten
wouldn't agree.
that okay.
Remember, she wanted to fight Beyonce.
But I forgot in that movie that she like sings at Adrian Brody, who plays Leonard Chess, I believe and then he dies in the next scene or something. I was like, that's not biographically true. That did not happen.
Would that we could have just sang at Adrian Brody to get him to drop dead on the ground during the Oscars.
No, he would say, "Don't play me off. I've been here before." You would be singing at the top of your lungs. He'd still be talking about that.
Beyonce, I've been here before. Well, speaking of the Beyonce of it all, Gaga is really dropping hints that Telephone 2 is coming.
And I think among pop songs, that is something we could use a sequel to. Just the sheer speed of it. Like those girls are like, they're like 3 Red Bulls deep on that song, like amped up.
And I appreciate it now just because of, I guess, the comfort and ease both of them have with their career now. When you think of Gaga, how she is in this Mayhem era, right? It sort of reminds you of how just relaxed and how much fun Beyonce was having on the Renaissance tour. Like they're both pop stars who are just at the top of their game, but also have done so much that they're really just sort of sure of who they are when they're releasing music, but they're still doing weird shit, having fun. I mean, you talk about Gaga doing weird shit on this. I mean, whatever you feel about Cowboy Carter, it was her doing weird shit just because she wanted to do it, you know? Like that album was the opposite of an AI algorithm, you know? And I think that these two have circled each other for so long in the industry, and their interactions at the Grammys were lovely to see. And I just sort of want to know, like, what them linking up again in the studio sounds like. And you know, a live performance of a new Telephone, or even just the original fucking Telephone, would be banger, because who else is performing live like Beyonce or Lady Gaga?
Right. Also, you know what I would also applaud in this regard? The stupidity of a sequel to Telephone. Because the song is simply about having a telephone in the club and somebody won't stop bothering you on the telephone. This is what pop songs used to be about. We used to celebrate with pop and just enjoy. And by the way, I'm not a hater of Videophone either.
Oh, I mean, the way that Videophone almost sounds like it could be mixed into the Cowboy Carter tour, like that country opening
Yeah, right. And then also the dancing in the video when they both were like kind of undulating their stomachs at us. For 2 seconds, Lady Gaga entertained Shakira notions. People forget this.
Well, speaking of Shakira, you remember when the internet was claiming that Shakira was reheating Beyonce's nachos with the Renaissance tour.
Oh, yes. And the font and like the production design and stuff.
Yes, and then Shakira got sick and went to the hospital.
Smart move, Queen. Yeah.
Gaga, of course, was asked by a gay, who else, and in an interview with Entertainment Weekly about reheating her own nachos for Abracadabra. And first of all, we should not be saying these things to actors or celebrities or musicians, okay? Like, we need to keep these internet things on the internet.
And also, I mean, there's a chronic problem online of people not understanding what belongs in a text chain with people you know and what belongs into the world. And this is specifically the divide we're talking about.
But I'm going to get into the origin of the phrase reheating one's own nachos. Because the actual origin comes from Natalie Nunn from the Zeus series Baddies. Now, I'm sure you've heard of Baddies before, even if you've never watched it.
That's a question? Okay, yes, I've heard of it.
Is it?
Am I here? Okay.
Have you heard people reference Baddies before?
Okay, yes.
It's like a Zeus series where baddies fight each other, basically.
I believe you. All right. Where the nachos come in?
The phrase comes from a tweet where Natalie Nunn is sitting watching someone eat nachos, and Natalie is just eyeing the plate a lot, and someone tweeted, Natalie Nunn really wanted her nachos in that moment.
And that's where it started?
And that's where it
started. Of the internet's making? Yes.
And that's where it started. Wanting her nachos turned into reheating someone's nachos. And so it basically means you are, taking someone else's recipe and making it your own, but you're reheating it because you're not cooking it from scratch, right? And so Gaga's response to this was, I know it can be used in both positive and negative ways, but I would say I invented them and I'm proud of them. She invented her own nachos, okay?
So I'm picturing her standing by a group of Tostitos, proud, farmed by her own hands. Well, that's
she's Emeril Lagasse.
Right. It's a case of damned if you do, damned if you don't. If her music didn't sound at all like her older stuff, people would be like, what is this departure? What are you doing? And yet, if there's any comparison at all to what she's done before, people will then necessarily say, well, this isn't entirely brand new. So I would say she has sort of straddled the best and worst of both worlds there. And also, I just don't really love nachos. I don't need to bring them up that often.
Excuse me?
I just don't love them. I'm a popcorn girl.
You want to say that again?
Queso,
why don't you like nachos?
Honey, chips are good, period. The best condiment is salt. Unlike the best movie, which isn't salt. I just wanted to piss you off even more.
Oh, okay. I was like, first of all, I feel like the only condiments that you have in your apartment are salt, mayo, and horseradish.
Girlfriend, I'm not getting horseradish or mayo in this house. I have the body of Christian Bale in The Machinist right now. You think I'm eating mayo?
That's fair. All right. You know who's actually been reheating some nachos lately?
Who? You?
No.
Enjoy another plate. Go ahead. What?
I'm in Mexico. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
If I want nachos, I'll go on the street and get them.
All right.
Nachos aren't really a thing in Mexico City, but no, Meghan Markle.
Oh, I haven't watched that show yet. That seems to be upsetting people. Can I just say about her quickly?
The girls are mad.
I feel like I'm missing the part of her career where we were supposed to be mad at her. Like,
yeah.
what did she ever do? Like, she thought living with the royal family kind of sucked. Guys, I assure you it did.
Mm-hmm. I think we're supposed to be mad at her because of racism and misogyny, of course. But
right.
I hate that the Daily Mail has made that their whole bit, because You should be able to make jokes about a very famous person deciding, I'm going to do a cooking show on Netflix. But you sort of can't without people attacking you online and saying, well, Gwyneth Paltrow can do this, or, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, I know that they can do it, but I want to make fun of her for having like a cooking show on Netflix, but I can't do it because the Daily Mail decided to be racist every time she opens her mouth.
I see. You're right. There's no halfway point. You feel like you're either endorsing things like the Daily Mail, which have basically harangued her almost to death at this point.
Yeah, but like I don't need to watch her cook.
No, right. I'm not. She doesn't give me commentariat. I don't feel like she needs to sort of weigh in, and that's part of what the show is about.
And then the people defending it online are just, it's a nice, fun show. I'm enjoying watching it, and it's like you sound stupid.
Stream Mayhem. Go home.
All right, when we're back, keep it.
Keep It is brought to you by Lumen. Now, what do I know about metabolism? There was some Netflix documentary a couple months ago where I learned all about my quote-unquote microbiome. Girl, a lot is going on down there. And I shouldn't be the one to have to tell you about it, but just know it's a whole story and you're invited to learn, but brace yourself and hold your nose. But when I want to learn more about my metabolism, I turn to Lumen. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. Then Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. You can also breathe into it before and after workouts and meals, so you know exactly what's going on in your body in real time. And Lumen will give you tips to keep you on top of your health game. So I'm somebody that tries to gain muscle no matter what, and if I take even a day off of eating a lot, my body relishes the opportunity to lose 9 to 11 pounds. Lumen tells me when I am gaining and what I am losing, and it's very, very specific about it, which is so helpful because it's the vagueness that gets you frustrated and disappointed with yourself. Because your metabolism is at the center of everything your body does, optimal metabolic health translates to a bunch of benefits, including easier weight management, improved energy levels, better fitness results, better sleep, etc. Lumen can also track your cycle as well as the onset of menopause and adjust your recommendations to keep your metabolism healthy through hormonal shifts so you can keep up your energy and stave off cravings. Take the next step to improving your health. Go to lumen.me/keepit to get 20% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/keepit for 20% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. Keep It is brought to you by ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol. When Joe Biden won the 2020 election, and in the morning, Alex Trebek died. And I was partying with people, and my parents called me for our weekly Zoom meeting, and I looked like hell. And they said, what happened, Louis? And I explained to them that Alex Trebek had died. And they said, we're going to leave you alone now. Thankfully, now we have pre-alcohol. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Now, let me let you in on a secret. Ira has told me that he uses this regularly, and it has really helped out his life. Even though the drinking responsibly part, who knows what's going on there. This college basketball season, don't let anything sideline your celebrations. Grab pre-alcohol before you go out and be ready to cheer on your team all day and all night long. Go to zbiotics.com/keepit to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Keep It at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/keepit and use the code KEEPIT at checkout for 15% off.
And we're back with our favorite segment of the episode. It is Keep It. Louis, you promised me a rap-centric Keep It this week.
Yes, and this song is now on like the Billboard Hot 100s, climbing kind of slowly. Because we live in this Billboard universe where things like Good Luck Babe are still in the top 10. Mm-hmm. Just like things just stick around and then stay there. So it takes sometimes a while for new songs to bubble up. Are you familiar with a song called Fat, Juicy, and Wet by Sexyy Red and Bruno Mars?
Pussy So Good Make Me Throw Up a Set?
Keep it to Fat, Juicy, and Wet.
Oh, wow.
First of all, let me just say, Sexyy Red innocent. Sexyy Red's a good time. Sexyy Red came to us with a song called Pound Town. You know what you're getting with Sexyy Red. The champagne's flying. We're all strippers. It's a lot of fun. Bruno Mars. You know he's giving you Chips Ahoy commercial every time he gets on the stage. You know the bugles are playing. It's always a Kohl's back to school sale. You know, a little bit of like, the backpack's on. I jump into place. I'm 1'8". You know, that's his whole vibe. I'm just going to go ahead and read the lyrics. Fat, juicy, and wet. I don't even gangbang. Putsy so good. Make me throw up a set. That good kitty, kitty, good kitty, kitty. Good kitty, kitty. Are you Motley Crue? Who says good kitty, kitty? Make it my pet, pretty pussy type of pussy. Girl, put me in a nunnery. I cannot be listening to this. I was at the pregame watching him be vulgar. And by the way, everybody has the vulgar phase of their career, right? Everybody has the Madonna sex book. Everybody, you know, has to be nasty at some point. Brian McKnight had that whole thing where he's like, I want to be really gross in music because we're all adults here. Yeah, but it also has to be convincing. I felt like Tipper Gore listening to this song, just like rejecting every ounce of it. Just not sexy in any way until Sexyy Red comes on. And then this is clearly her bag.
Mm-hmm. Pussy like weed, pussy like dope, pussy like cocaine, put it up your nose, slob on my clit, suck on my toes. Honestly, I was arguing with someone about this song and when it first came out, and their argument too was, I don't need to hear Bruno Mars singing about all that.
Right. Well, also, if you watch the video too, he's giving you that same kind of aw shucks energy as he sings these. This is not aw shucks. You need to be aw fucking, okay? And also, by the way, I think crucially, the problem is he sings the same verse 3 times. So if you didn't love it the first time, he's like re-auditions the second time. And then he's like, wait, don't kick me out yet. The pussy is still warm. Hold on. He reheated that pussy by the end of the song. You know what I'm saying?
Bruno Mars reheating pussy. Bruno Mars in the song is sort of giving the energy of I think we all remember that first time like you are having sex with someone and then there's sort of like but they're like they want you to be like verbal or like dirty or something, but you've never done it before, so you're just sort of like good kitty. Good kitty.
Kitty is such a hard word. It's so hard. You better be Kitty Carlisle, game show panelist on To Tell the Truth, if you're Kitty.
I do love the video, though. I just love the randomness of Lady Gaga and Rosé popping over the set and dancing with them.
Sure. Again, Sexyy Red, you know exactly what you're getting. She put it right there in her name. It's right there. Sexy.
Well, it makes me want a Gaga Sexyy Red song.
Yeah. Has she ever been like really hard vulgar before? I'm sort of surprised that she hasn't.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
do what you want with
Christmas
my body.
Tree's delicious.
I honestly don't hate that as an answer because that is disgusting.
Honestly, we appreciate the Christina Aguilera version of "Do What You Want." It is a B-level drag race lip sync.
Sure,
but
which they haven't done yet, by the way.
Yeah, but I think we all just know that, unfortunately, "Do What You Want" featuring R. Kelly was one of Gaga's best songs. And
I was very heartened to hear her make a joke about R. Kelly during her SNL monologue about I think the last time she had hosted or something. That was very cute.
But picture this, Sexyy Red on a new version of "Do What You Want."
I would love to hear that. You know, I have a problem where I can't stop playing that song.
Yeah,
it's like the movie Speed. If I turn that song off, I'll cease to be. Ira, what is your keep it this week?
My keep it this week goes to a tweet from Meghan McCain.
Why? Why would you darken our stage with Meghan McCain?
It's actually about a couple tweets with Meghan McCain. First of all, I don't know if you knew this, but Meghan McCain liked Trump's address to the union It wasn't the State of the Union.
Oh, good.
He just got up there and was just talking, as he's wont to do. And she liked
freestyling.
It. And I just first want to say, before I get into the tweets of it all, that man dog walked your father. Okay? Like
up, down, left, right, and diagonal.
Right.
That's like all he did.
He dog walked him straight up until John McCain was in the grave. And here you are begging for a Scooby snack.
The idea of begging for a Scooby snack. Scooby was just given them, usually.
I'm just
he wasn't left wanting like this.
I just recall Meghan McCain when she used to block people for dragging her about things online. I was one of those people back in the day. This man, the shit that he talked about your father, you have the gumption, the gall, the nerve to agree with him on anything? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
The speech was also, specifically hyper ridiculous. This is the same speech where he talked about transgender mice, and what he meant was transgenic mice. He just made up an entire problem, which I know seems crazy. You've never heard Trump do anything like that before, but it was a ludicrous speech.
Actually, if you told me Brain from Pinky and the Brain was trans, I'd believe you.
Oh, I mean, the diabolical nature of him alone.
Yeah.
You never know. Yeah. I mean, also being that interested in film noir, he was clearly an Orson Welles tribute. Something trans is going on there.
Yeah. Brain, his favorite movie is Dress to Kill. But, okay, this collection of tweets I'm going to give you from Meghan McCain. First of all, she wrote in response to this whole bullshit about this volleyball player who, was hurt during a volleyball game by a ball.
Oh,
and
right.
now she hates trans people
right.
playing volleyball
Classic
with
soap
her.
opera storyline. Right, yes.
First of all, the ball hit you in the head, sis. Like, let's just talk about that. It just seems like you're bad at the game.
Right. Good volleyball players don't get hit, to put it in Trump verbiage.
Okay.
Yes.
She tweeted, Democrats defending young women suffering from traumatic brain injuries as a result of trans athletes is why they will continue losing every election.
Girl, you don't know what's going on.
And then Andy Cohen responded to her. Finally, by the way, because Andy Cohen has been friends with Meghan McCain through all of her bullshit, and she's been on Watch What Happens Live too many fucking times. He responded to her, surprised you're buying into the vilification of the trans community given the real problems happening in this country, your previous allyship of the LGBTQ community, and the fact that this non-issue affects about 4 people in this country. And then she said, surprised you're okay with violence against female athletes. And then she claimed that the player's account was just one story among many, and you have my cell. Always happy to talk private or publicly on either of our shows because these conversations are reductive to hash out on social media. Nobody's coming on your show, girl.
Girl, you're not Jack Parr. You're not Johnny Carson.
How about a guest spot on Jack Parr? Little Shop of Horrors.
Right.
And that nonsense aside, here's this other tweet of hers that really jumped out the window. Can't decide if I should still watch White Lotus tonight since one of the stars decided to tweet some nasty crap at me this week for liking Trump's address to the nation. What do we think? Girl, shut the fuck up.
Also, are we talking about Carrie Coon? Yes, she and Tracy Letts are not hyper Republicans. Can you believe it? What an idiot.
Some nasty crap at me. Also, when you do clownery, the clown comes back to bite. And that is what happens when you take a very clear Republican. We saw it on The View. We see it on Twitter. We see it in her support of the Federalist. And when you take her and you continue to put her on platforms that are places for LGBTQ people, like bringing her to the clubhouse on Watch What Happens Live constantly, and just being sort of happy for the scraps of allyship that she gives us, the clown is always going to come back to bite because they will rear their ugly head again and reveal that they're trash.
Also, how about How about in all the years we have known who this woman is, when she was a View panelist, whatever, she has not been smart one time. She is not an insightful person. Who is like needing this person to like contribute at all?
Yeah, it should have been obvious that she would eventually turn on trans people. But I don't know why people are shocked. And I can say one last thing, too, about people being shocked when the clown comes back to bite. My clown of the week is Columbia University.
Oh, in your current state of New York, what do they do wrong? Joseph Pulitzer, a big fan of Columbia University.
Well, I think we were all familiar with the protests that were happening on Columbia University's campus. You know, there was the whole fervor about Palestine, about Gaza, about whether or not supporting Palestine is anti-Semitic. And obviously people like Trump and conservatives like latch onto this shit because they're like, anti-Semitism, we get to do that and no one's mad about it. But let's turn support of Palestine into anti-Semitism. Obviously, Columbia University was awful to its students, shitty to its students, basically letting people like one of their students be arrested by ICE this week, and that was Mahmoud Khalil. They did all of this shit and not supporting their own students because they were trying to, just like Meghan McCain, suck up to Donald fucking Trump. Like, we're in this whole era now where everyone has decided we're going to do everything we can to get Donald Trump to like us. And then you know what happened? Donald Trump pulled federal funding from Columbia anyway. So the clown came back to bite, idiots.
Right. Yeah, there's no such thing as appeasing him. It's all about him, you know. So he decided there's no such thing. Like, you have to be such a suck up to him and like in his inner circle to be even remotely protected.
Yeah. Anyway, I think more people should be talking about this, and I'm sure, you know, they'll be talking about it on Pod Save America, etc. But I don't know. I think everyone should be terrified about the fact that no matter people's politics, marching up to somebody and like arresting them and then deciding you want to revoke their green card just because they were protesting is that's like the literal definition of fascism, you know? And there are people online who are going, well, maybe he's pro-Hamas, etc. And I'm like, you know what? You know who doesn't have their citizenship revoked? White people walking around with swastikas on them, like doing the Heil in streets to intimidate people, right? You know, so supporting Hitler, supporting Nazism, wearing your shitty...
It is less controversial than that.
Right.
Yes.
You know, wearing your shitty Walmart sheets that haven't been washed in 3 years as a hood when you want to be in a KKK rally. You also don't get your citizenship revoked for that. So I think it's dumb. And, you know, I guess we support some terrorism in America, but it has to be white terrorism.
Right. That does sound like us, ultimately, at this stage of the game, correct?
Anyway, that's our episode this week. We'll be back next week with more Keep It.